All right. In one of Johnson's registers of this year, the year 1782, if you've forgotten, there occurs the following curious passage. January 20th. The ministry is dissolved. I prayed with Francis and gave thanks. It has been the subject of discussion whether there are two distinct particulars mentioned here, or that we are to understand the giving of thanks to be in consequence of the dissolution of the ministry. In support of the last of these conjectures may be urged his mean opinion of that ministry, which has frequently appeared in the course of this work, and is strongly confirmed by what he said on the subject to Mr. Seward. I am glad the ministry is removed. Such a bunch of imbecility never disgraced a country. If they sent a messenger into the city to take up a printer, the messenger was taken up instead of the printer and committed by the sitting alderman. If they sent one army to the relief of another, the first army was defeated and taken before the second arrived. I will not say that what they did was always wrong, but it was always done at the wrong time. To Mrs. Stratham. Dear Madame, Mrs. Williams showed me your kind letter. This little habitation is now but a melancholy place, clouded with the gloom of disease and death. Of the 4 inmates, one has been suddenly snatched away. 2 are oppressed by very afflictive and dangerous illness. And I tried yesterday to gain some relief by a 3rd bleeding from a disorder which has for some time distressed me, and I think myself today much better. I am glad, dear Madame, to hear that you are so well recovered as to go to Bath. Let me once more entreat you to stay till your health is not only obtained, but confirmed. Your fortune is such as that no moderate expense deserves your care, and you have a husband who, I believe, does not regard it. Stay, therefore, till you are quite well. I am, for my part, very much deserted. But complaint is useless. I hope God will bless you, and I desire you to form the same wish for me. I am, dear Madame, your most humble servant, February 4th, 1782. Sam Johnson. Deserted or dejected, I guess is what he said there. Very much deserted. Or dejected, who knows. I mean, there's just a footnote here that says Johnson wrote dejected, and I guess Boswell changed it to deserted. Sorry. Sometimes I get distracted by these footnotes. They're confusing. To Edmund Malone, Esquire. Sir, I have for many weeks been so much out of order that I have gone out only in a coach to Mr. Thrale's, where I can use all the freedom that sickness requires. Do not, therefore, take it amiss that I am not with you and Dr. Farmer. I hope hereafter to see you often. I am, sir, your most humble servant. February 27, 1782, Sam Johnson. To the same. Dear sir, I hope I grow better and shall soon be able to enjoy the kindness of my friends. I think this wild adherence to Chatterton more unaccountable than the obstinate defense of Ossian. In Ossian there is a natural pride, which may be forgiven, though it cannot be applauded. In Chatterton there is nothing but the resolution to say again what has once been said. I am, sir, your humble servant, March 7th, 1782, Sam Johnson. There's a footnote here about Chatterton. This note was an answer to one which accompanied one of the earliest pamphlets on the subject of Chatterton's forgery, entitled Cursory Observations on the Poems Attributed to Thomas Rowley and etc. Mr. Thomas Warden's very able inquiry appeared about 3 months afterwards. And Mr. Thrywitt's admirable vindication of his appendix in the summer of the same year left the believers in this daring imposture nothing but the resolution to say again what had been said before. I don't know what's going on there. Sorry. I'll have to look up this Chatterton fellow later. These short letters show the regard which Dr. Johnson entertained for Mr. Malone, who the more he is known is the more highly valued. It is much to be regretted that Johnson was prevented from sharing the elegant hospitality of that gentleman's table, at which he would in every respect have been fully gratified. Mr. Malone, who has so ably succeeded him as editor of Shakespeare, has, in his preface, done great and just honor to Johnson's memory. To Mrs. Lucy Porter in Lichfield. Dear Madame, I went away from Lichfield ill, and have had a troublesome time with my breath. For some weeks I have been disordered by a cold, of which I could not get the violence abated, till I had been let blood 3 times. I have not, however, been so bad but that I could have written, and I am sorry that I neglected it. My dwelling is but melancholy. Both Williams and Desmoulins and myself are very sickly. Frank is not well, and poor Levitt died in his bed the other day by a sudden stroke. I suppose not 1 minute passed between health and death. So uncertain are human beings, are human things. Such is the appearance of the world about me. I hope your scenes are more cheerful. But whatever befalls us, though it is wise to be serious, it is useless and foolish, and perhaps sinful to be gloomy. Let us, therefore, keep ourselves as easy as we can, though the loss of friends will be felt, and poor Levitt has been a faithful adherent for 30 years. Forgive me, my dear love, the omission of writing. I hope to mend that and my other faults. Let me have your prayers. Make my compliments to Mrs. Cobb and Miss Addie, and Mr. Pearson, and the whole company of my friends. I am, my dear, your most humble servant, London, March 2nd, 1782, Sam Johnson. To the same, dear Madame. My last was but a dull letter, and I know not that this will be much more cheerful. I am, however, willing to write because you are desirous to hear from me. My disorder has now begun its 9th week, for it is not yet over. I was last Thursday blooded for the 4th time, and have since found myself much relieved. But I am very tender and easily hurt, so that since we parted I have had but little comfort. But I hope that the spring will recover me, and then the summer I shall see Lichfield again, for I will not delay my visit another year to the end of autumn. I have, by advertising, found poor Mr. Levitt's brothers in Yorkshire, who will take the little that he has left. It is but little, yet it will be welcome, for I believe they are of very low condition. To be sick, and to see nothing but sickness and death, is but a gloomy state, but I hope better times, even in this world, will come, and whatever this world may withhold or give, we shall be happy in a better state. Pray for me, my dear Lucy. Make my compliments to Mrs. Cobb and Miss Addie and my old friend Hetty Bailey, and to all the Lichfield ladies. I am, dear Madame, yours affectionately, Bolt Court, Fleet Street, March 19, 1782, Sam Johnson. On the day on which this letter was written, he thus feelingly mentions his respected friend and physician, Dr. Lawrence. I think this is in his Prayers and Meditations, page 207. Poor Lawrence has almost lost the sense of hearing, and I have lost the conversation of a learned, intelligent, and communicative companion, and a friend whom long familiarity has much endeared. Lawrence is one of the best men whom I have known. Nostrum hominum miserere Deus. God have mercy on us all. It was Dr. Johnson's custom, when he wrote to Dr. Lawrence concerning his own health, to use the Latin language. I have been favored by Miss Lawrence with one of these letters as a specimen. Oh boy, here's some Latin here. To Laurencio, medico S. And I'll give you the translation after the end of my bad Latin here. Novum frigis nova tissis nova sperande difficultas nuam sanguinis missionum suadit quam temem te inconsuelo nolum fiere ad te venere vix possum nic est cur ad me venius. La sere vel non lacerto uno verbo decidum est. Cetera mihi et holdero lenquas. Si per te licit imperator nuncio halderum ad me deducere. Maius Caldenus, 1782, Pasquam tu deseris quo me vertam. Well, that's a question. So it should be Pasquam tu deseris qua me vertam. So that's what it is in my bad pronunciation of Latin. I mean, it's a dead language, so you can forgive me for that. I could try translating myself, but I'll spare you that. It says here, this means, to Dr. Lawrence, a fresh chill, a fresh cough, and a fresh difficulty in breathing call for a fresh letting of blood. Without your advice, however, I would not submit to the operation. I cannot well come to you, nor need you come to me. Say yes or no in one word and leave the rest to Holder and to me. If you say yes, let the messenger be bidden to bring Holder to me. May 1st, 1782. When you have left, whither shall I turn? And then there's a footnote about Holdero, which is Holder. It says, Mr. Holder in the Strand, Dr. Johnson's apothecary. And then there's, some nitpicking stuff. So originally, and Johnson had sanguinosi. Boswell changed it to sanguinus. And then this one's funny. It says, for imperator, Johnson wrote imperatur. So the difference is Johnson actually wrote imperetur rather than what Boswell has here, impereatur. So there's an E instead of an A. Tell the messenger to send Holder. And it ends with this cryptic footnote. This closes an ancient controversy. So I guess in the other word, this other word that he had, it's means something else, and it's more controversial in Johnsonian study, I guess. I have no idea. And then finally, for the whole letter altogether, it says, soon after the above letter, Dr. Lawrence left London, but not before the palsy had made so great a progress as to render him unable to write for himself. The following are extracts from letters addressed by Dr. Johnson to one of his daughters. You will easily believe with what gladness I read that you had heard once again the voice to which we have all so often delighted to attend. May you often hear it. If we had his mind and his tongue, we could spare the rest. I am not vigorous, but much better than when dear Dr. Lawrence held my pulse the last time. Be so kind as to let me know, from one little interval to another, the state of his body. I am pleased that he remembers me, and hope that it never can be possible for me to forget him. July 22nd, 1782. There's another one. I am much delighted even with the small advances which dear Dr. Lawrence makes towards recovery. If we could have again but his mind and his tongue in his mind and his right hand, we should not much lament the rest. I should not despair of helping the swelled hand by electricity if it were frequently and diligently supplied. Let me know from time to time whatever happens. And I hope I need not tell you how much I am interested in every change. August 26, 1782. And another one. Though the account with which you favored me in your last letter could not give me the pleasure that I wished, yet I was glad to receive it. For my affection to my dear friend makes me desirous of knowing his state, whatever it be. I beg, therefore, that you continue to let me know, from time to time, all that you observe. Many fits of severe illness have, for about 3 months past, forced my kind physician upon my mind. I am now better, and hope gratitude as well as distress can be a motive to remembrance. Bolt Court, Fleet Street, February 4th, 1783. I wonder what happened to poor Lawrence. I guess he didn't make it. Palsy got him in. There's another letter to Captain Langton in Rochester. Mr. Langton being at this time on duty at Rochester, he is addressed by his military title. Fancy. Dear Sir, it is now long since we saw one another, and whatever has been the reason, neither you have written to me, nor I to you. To let friendship die away by negligence and silence is certainly not wise. It is voluntarily to throw away one of the greatest comforts of this weary pilgrimage, of which, when it is, as it must be taken finally away, he that travels on alone will wonder how his esteem could be so little. Do not forget me. You see that I do not forget you. It is pleasing in the silence of solitude to think that there is one at least, however distant, of whose benevolence there is little doubt, and whom there is yet hope of seeing again. Of my life, from the time we parted, the history is mournful. The spring of last year deprived me of Thrale, a man whose eye for 15 years had scarcely been turned away, but had been turned upon me, but with respect or tenderness. For such another friend, the general course of human things will not suffer man to hope. I passed the summer at Stratham, but there was no Thrale, and having idled away the summer with a weakly body and neglected mind, I made a journey to Staffordshire on the edge of winter. The season was dreary, I was sickly, and found the friends sickly whom I went to see. After a sorrowful sojourn, I returned to a habitation possessed for the present by 2 sick women, where my dear old friend, Mr. Levitt, to whom, as he used to tell me, I owe your acquaintance, died a few weeks ago, suddenly in his bed. There passed not, I believe, a minute between health and death. At night, as at Mrs. Thrale's, I was musing in my chamber. I thought with uncommon earnestness that however I might alter my mode of life, or whatsoever I might remove, I would endeavor to retain Levitt about me. In the morning, my servant brought me word that Levitt was called to another state, a state for which I think he was not unprepared, for he was very useful to the poor. How much soever I valued him, I now wish that I had valued him more. I have myself been ill more than 8 weeks of a disorder, for which, in the expense of about 50 ounces of blood, Jesus, I hope I am now recovering. Not so great with the medicine day. You, dear sir, have, I hope, a more cheerful scene. You see George fond of his book, and the pretty Mrs. airy and lively, with my own little Jenny equal to the best, and whatever can contribute to your quiet and of pleasure. You have Lady Rattles ready to concur. May whatever you enjoy of good be increased, and whatever you suffer of evil be diminished. I am, dear sir, your humble servant, Sam Johnson, Bolt Court, Fleet Street, March 20th, 1782. I think I'll stop for today because the next 2 letters are to the same person. Well, until next time, it's getting kind of be a downer. I hope Johnson has some fun left in him. Till next time, bye from Boswell. I hope he stops bleeding himself. That'd be a start. See ya.